it happened with Gene Shaw the first time. Darwin and Gene used to come down to the center. Gene would come a month before Darwin, and she would get set up in the guest house, and then Darwin would come because he was still working. And so I would pick up Gene at the airport. So Gene was, Baba said that she was an angel. So you only have one lifetime in the physical body, so it's very uncomfortable to be in the physical body. And Gene had always complaining about different things: food, the temperature, the chair, the draft, everything. So I pick her up at the airport, and she wants to go out for lunch. So we go out for lunch in this place somewhere on 17, and she's telling me, she's giving me a whole litany of all the things on the airplane that were uncomfortable and everything. Then the food arrives. She doesn't like the food and everything, and she's talking about this, and I'm looking over at her, and suddenly I see this is Baba playing Gene Shaw. It was absolutely hilarious that he's playing this old lady complaining about this and that. I just saw it with my own eyes. And after that, I never had any trouble with Jean, whatever she did. It all kind of flowed from that truth. That this is my beloved acting like this. And it just didn't, and other people might get a little upset or something or irritated. And, she would say to Darwin, well, get off, when he's at a restaurant talking and everything, and he'll say, come on, Darwin, get off your soapbox, let's go. And we'd have to kind of throw in our cards, and that was it. But it never, like I say, I saw her as Baba, and that disguised as Baba. And I get that from time to time, where I kind of see somebody and I can just see, wow, that's Baba disguised as Wendy Cura, and
Cranky.
and it's and it's really, it's very, there's a kind of oneness about it. It's not like Baba's in her, Baba is her. So anyway, it's kind of a...
Yeah, the quote you were referring to is, "We are God in disguise, pretending not to be himself." And it's attributed to Watts, which I think is Alan Watts. I don't know. This is from Heidi Becker Share. She said she was going through some books and she encountered this quote and she wanted to share.
Yeah. Anyone have anything that came up during the last stretch that's interesting?
I think it was great last week. I walked away feeling full and happy, and I'm always grateful for everybody's shares. And yeah, there's always something to think about, at least for me. I always find I'm replaying it over in my head for days later, and I'm grateful for that because it keeps me from Chippendale stuff. I watched Heather Herd video 3 times today. I don't know if most people have seen it, but it's beautiful.
Yeah.
My goodness.
She did a beautiful job of capturing,
sure did.
the life with Baba, with the Mandali.
Yeah, I was really grateful.
We spoke at the Mehrana Sahabas.
Yeah.
Pre-recorded. Yeah.
It was beautiful. Really nice.
She's great. Just very natural speaker.
Yes.
Kind of serves it up to you vividly.
Yeah. I had some nice interactions with Heather when I was over there. Just little gems she would drop.
Yeah.
And lovely person. Very kind.
Here's an interesting thing you reminded me. Heather told me this. Heather came to the center, and she appreciated what was happening there. And but she told me this about Gary Kleiner, and at 3:30 at the trust office, they would have tea. Tea would be brought out, and they would drink it on the back veranda, usually with Erich. And any of the Western residents that happened to be in town would swing by. Sometimes they would even time it so they could hang out with Erich. And one day, so there are a number of them there, and Erich says, what does Gary Kleiner do all day? Now, Gary Kleiner was, kind of a, you might say, at one level, a kind of a goof off, like all these people have their jobs and they're serious about them, and he's kind of pretty cavalier. And so Erich says, what does Gary Kleiner do all day? And this is, Heather's telling me this, and they say, Erich, do you really want to know what Gary Kleiner does all day? Yeah, what does Gary Kleiner do all day? You really want to know? Well, he collects the money at the Pilgrim Center in the morning, and in the afternoon he plays volleyball. But most of the day he just kind of hangs out with the pilgrims, talking with the pilgrims. And Eric says, is that all that he does? You mean just, that's what he does all day? And they say, yes, afraid that's so, Eric. Eric says, good. That's the most important thing. Because, and I do feel like Baba came as a person, because the personal is taken a hit in this world today. Being personal with each other, I mean, the world's becoming increasingly impersonal. So Erich, Baba's right-hand man, is affirming the value of the personal. Yeah. In fact, I wasn't going to mention that tonight, but in the late night chat, I was thinking of talking about loving each other, or loving Baba in each other, however it's defined for you. It's a huge topic, but I thought it might be worth exploring and hearing from you folks. How not only the things that work, but the things that don't work. And how to overcome some of the things that don't work.
Good to see you. Welcome back.
Yeah.
You rested?
Yeah, well, there was an internal thing I was working on for 10 days, day and night. With Baba's name and all that. But I can't go into that. But
another time, will you talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, not specifically, but the types of things that you have to do sometimes.
To go deeper.
You have to not engage with certain things at even an inner level. Otherwise, you can get that stuff on you, so to speak. Some things. This situation really is amazing. Even in this stage in my life, Bob is still hurling these curveballs my way, and this was very invaluable. I had a murky kind of a sense of love and illusion. That's kind of a little murky and everything. And this situation, as disturbing as it was, helped to clarify what illusion is. I haven't really. I saw it in a clearer way, clearer than I have. It was well worth going through the 10 days that I was dealing with a situation. I mean, there's a line that Baba quoted from Hafiz, 1,000 times I've ascertained and found it to be true that the world and the affairs of the world are nothing into nothing.
Uh-huh.
Now it's hard to do anything with that, but this situation helped to clarify that
What that actually means.
more
what that,
clearly in me. I haven't ever been pressed at that level to try to clarify the distinction.
Yeah.
And maybe one day I'll know how to verbalize it.
Well, let us know.
Yeah.
Keep us posted.
I mean, I like to think of everything as love.
Yeah,
It is all love.
right.
But that, there's a value in knowing everything is also illusion.
Uh-huh.
They're both true, but they were kind of murky in me.
Yeah.
So anyway, but thank God that Baba, I would never have thought that this world was an illusion if Baba hadn't, put that in my consciousness like a termite, like a bunch of termites
Yeah.
that ate away, because I wouldn't have, and it's greatly helpful that Baba says it's all an illusion also, because that's part of the process of letting go and not
Right.
making something overly important.
Jeff, does Baba say it's all love? Because I've been a few times in my life in situations where I was going to go like maybe a quarter mile up into a certain area, and intuitively I sensed not to go. And as I was going halfway there, on at least one occasion, an individual said, "Don't go there. It's not a good idea." And it's not a mystery. I was going to go to a restroom where I was with a group of people, but the people who were near that restroom, I sensed from hundreds of yards away, don't go. And even though I was walking there, I was not going to. But when I heard somebody say, best not to go in that area, Jeff, I didn't. So I guess my question is, I've been led to believe there are dark energies. Most of it's light, but there are dark energies, and I don't know if that's actually love anyway. I'm not trying to be academic or analytical. I'm really asking that question. Is it all love?
I know that Baba, gave the story of Mira, Saint Mira. Now this is getting to a certain level, but Saint Mira was one of Mira's favorites, woman saints, and her husband at one point, she was devoted to Krishna, and at one point he gave her poison to drink because he was so jealous of and so upset about her behavior. But she took that poison as a gift from Krishna, and she was not affected. And then he gave her a basket, of maybe it was flowers, but there was a cobra in there. But she accepted it as a gift from Krishna, and she was unaffected. But that is a very high level of taking everything as coming from Baba, and everything is love. But I remember Eric saying it's all Baba if you can maintain that. But if you take credit for one thing, then your house of cards falls. But you can resurrect your tower of your cards again. But what I mean is that, say, suppose it's all Baba and it's all Baba, and then you do something that you feel is really selfish and unkind, and you take credit for it, and then the whole thing falls down. You have to be able to, it has to be Baba with everything, experientially, and that is, that's the great challenge. Unbelievable.
Hasn't Baba said in his discourses that It's just a lesser form. It's ignorance in like a lesser form. It's ignorance acting through ignorance, and then it goes that you become less and less and less ignorant. Everything is a form of maybe self-love. You think about yourself, and then you think about maybe your significant other. You start to think about them, and then if there's someone else, think about the other person, and then it's a family. Then it's a little more. You care about the tribe or the village, and it goes on like that. So that sort of caring starts with just me. And so if you see someone just doing that, it looks like evil, but they are loving themselves. It's something
Yeah.
like that that Baba said in the discourses.
Yeah. That's true too. There's the relative degrees of everything, and then there's the absolute. It's all love, and then it's also varying degrees of love. It depends on what system you plug into. Experientially, I mean, it's not like this isn't intellectual, um, but Mira was able to plug into it's all Krishna, it's all from Krishna. But that and Darwin says, oh, I might be getting here late. Oh my God, Darwin says that if you take everything as Baba's most loving and spontaneous, as the most loving and spontaneous expression of Baba's will. I mean, he asks us that. If you do that, you will have a different mentality, and you will have a different world of emotions. But these are deep, very deep places. You know, it can't do it kind of intellectually or even intuitively, but experientially. I mean, and some people get there and they can do that. I mean, it's something to behold. You know,
As difficult as this is to answer, and you have started to answer it, could you really unpack that a little bit more? Because that is a question of my life, probably everybody's here, to just accept everything as it's happening from Baba, to accept everything. It's very challenging. I mean, of course it is,
yeah,
but it is, you know,
yeah,
and how do you, what, you know, we all have very high regard for you and Angela and others in the room, in the group.
yeah.
How do you just accept so many things that they're happening
Yeah.
perfectly in Baba's loving, conscious grace? How do you do that?
Yeah, no, it is a work of a lifetime. It's it's not like you wait. I mean, it's very hard. I've had a struggle with that. I mean, even at the beginning of my life with Baba, my question was to Baba is, where does human perversity come into this all-loving creation that you talk about? Where does human perversity, and that is a lot of where does this, you know, unlove fit in to this world of love? You know, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like I say, it's a project of a lifetime. But once it's clarified, everything is much simpler. That it is all Baba. But you have to be able to know that it's all Baba in all circumstances when terrible things happen around you or to you. I mean, we could. The fortunate thing is we can look in the retrospect and say, "Oh, well, the fact that I got cheated out of my house was a terrible thing at the time, but now look at where I am. You know, it actually turned out to be. I actually discovered Bob in the process. You know what I mean? So retrospectively, it's easier, but in the moment, it's very hard.
That's very helpful what you said, Jeff.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
because
I mean,
when I hear, you know, the semicolon after the sentence, but there's that underlying essence or wisdom that is very helpful for me to
yeah.
begin to try to grok this. It's not easy.
Yeah,
Of course,
not
keep on.
easy. I mean, some people say that divorce was the worst thing that happened to them at the time, but years later they realize it was the thing that kind of woke them up to their insensitivity, their selfishness, their taking people for granted, whatever. So
Mhm.
that it's in retrospect, but at the time, to be able to do it. Anyway,
Thank you.
better.
Thank you very much for really sharing that on such an intimate personal level, Jeff.
Yeah. Well,
Thank you.
I can give you some very personal accounts. But anyway, I'll let me say a few. Oh, I wonder, should I say anything at the beginning here, or should we just go right into the book?
Let's have a moment of silence.
Oh, yeah, let's go for it. Jai Baba. Well, maybe I'll say a few words here. In 1970, this buddy of mine and I found ourselves outside this door of 2 Castine Street, Schenectady, New York. And we had no idea what was on the other side of that door. But we rang the bell, and it opened to this elderly couple that we had never met, that turned out to be Darwin and Jean Shaw, and they enfolded us in love. And that whole house, as I've mentioned before, was so full of Baba's presence, and it was almost like Baba was there in person. They had their whole emphasis at that stage in their life was the companionship of Baba. They enjoyed Baba's companionship, and Baba enjoyed their companionship. You could see that. And over the years, I've thought, Baba is in everybody's house. He's in everybody's home on this earth. And he's working tirelessly to bring them toward love and the divine. And he has to work. But here, in 2 Castine Street, I felt like Baba gets to rest. He gets to enjoy himself. The 3 of them are rallying around in this house, enjoying this loving and adoring companionship. I mean, you could feel that. Baba didn't have to work when he was at 2 Castine Street. He could just sit back, which is what we can do in our own houses. We can make it a place where Baba can rest. And so the interesting thing is that I could see that they could have lived their lives out in that just the Baba's companionship. But unfortunately, all of us young people started arriving at their door. And we came with questions. We had oceans and oceans of questions and notions, you might say. And, it's like they were virtuoso musicians, that they were playing and entertaining Baba. When we came, they very lovingly put down their musical instruments, and they shared, because we asked, how did they get to that effortless companionship with Baba? And luckily, Darwin remembered all the stages that Baba had guided them through to this culmination of his company, and the give and take of the lover and the divine beloved. I mean, it's not like they were now just enjoying that. They weren't going through all these inner stages. But all of our questions that we asked, we just found that if we wanted to find out about Baba, Darwin wasn't there itching to, he was quite content. They were quite content. But we found if we asked some questions, he had to answer. So that's how this book came out. This book came about from all of our cajoling and probing of of Darwin. And so anyway, but that effortless companionship with Baba was what they arrived at after their whole life with Baba. And I think that to keep that in perspective, that's where we're going with this. All of this internal stuff, we're going to one day break free and have that intimate companionship with Baba. So there's that line, and maybe I don't remember it exactly, but I will teach you how to live in the world and yet be at all times in inner communion with me as the infinite being. I think that's, that's close to the quote. And I think that they kind of enjoyed that. Anyway, well, so Angela?
Yes, we're on page 114 of the book, and that's page 67 of the PDF. Anthony, we haven't seen you in a while. Care to read?
I'd love to. Jay, Baba, you guys, sorry, been at a crazy work schedule. It's so good to see you all. You have no idea. It just feels like home.
Feels like home. Feels like home to me.
It's such a palpable feeling when you're away for a little bit and then you sign back in. It's like, oh my God. Thank you all so much. Take me with you. Meher Baba says, things that are real are given and received in silence. It is important to go within and keep company with God. His love power dissolves all sanskaras. One time in 1956, when we were with Baba at Meher Mount in Ojai, California, Baba told us that we should go out, walk around, see the views, and try to love Baba through nature. He said, this is all due to my love. This whole creation, this nature, all the beauty you see, all came out of me. Then as we were leaving, he added, and take me with you. Take me with you does not mean just thinking about Baba, but loving him and feeling that he is a part of our consciousness. We can do this even while in the midst of our worldly duties. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba, yeah, beautiful. Any comments or questions or any examples?
Yeah, just when I was reading it, God, I'll tell you, I mean, before I started getting into Baba, just because of the Krishna temple that's around the road from where I live, I mean, everybody is just into doing tons of japa on Krishna's name. And I started getting into that, and it's beautiful. I mean, it keeps your mind out of the stuff that it normally gets in. But especially after coming to the Effort and Grace meetings and being around the Baba world here, I was doing that with Baba's name, and it is an amazing practice. And at the same time, I can see how talking with him during the day and bringing him into your activities like he's actually there, it to me feels it's different than just repeating his name. I mean, you feel like you are actually taking him with you into these activities. And now, like when I get off work and I'm driving home, I'll talk to him in the car, like, oh wow, that was a great day, and wow, it was really hard when this happened, but I can see how you kind of help me in this way. And I don't know, I guess just from hearing the different people share and just seeing how deep the relationship is, that he's there, just, I don't know, people just have this relationship like he's actually physically with them and they're talking. And so anyways, when I was reading this, that's the feeling I got with the take me with you, is just to not forget that, and that's available, to have that relationship of that best friend and lover and mother and father all in one, that you can talk to and be with all the time. So I've been trying to do it at work on my new unit in the ICU there. We have a big supply room with like 1 billion medical supplies in it, and it's hard to find where these things are located and to remember them. So when I go in the room, I'm in there by myself usually, and I'll just talk to Bob. I'm like, okay, where are the gauze dressings at? I know you know where they're at, and just kind of point me in the right direction. And then, all of a sudden something will pop out right there, and then you go and get it, and you're like, oh, you're the best, thank you. And just that little stuff. It's so sweet and it's so simple.
Beautiful, beautifully shared. I mean, that's the beauty of this companionship. You've described it so vividly. I mean, that's what we get. I mean, this is why we're into this. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, fabulous. And Ray.
Hi. The phrase right after things that are real are given and received in silence, which we all know. But then Darwin says it is important to go within and keep company with God, and His love power dissolves all sanskaras. And it just struck me. I know that I've read this before. So every morning I try and do a Baba Jap, or sometimes things will come up and I'll give it to Bob, and then other times I'll try and be silent, these things. And then sometimes during the day I try and remember, Baba, let's sit down and have a cup of tea. But the idea that he would be with you all the time in your consciousness, like Jeff was talking about, sort of as your companion right there, to really feel that, to experience that, what a wonderful thing. That's what I have to share. Thank you.
Beautiful. No, it's great. Beautiful.
In the line where it talks about and try to love Baba through nature, when I first came to Baba, I had been working in the indigenous world for quite some time. And when I was in India, people were talking about all these different stages we had to go through. And anyway, I got God Speaks, and I'm reading some of it, trying to figure it out as best as I could. And as a newbie, it was, whoa. But I felt like Baba really grabbed me on that one and said, okay, here we go. Like just that, here we go. Because I could never understand with some of the indigenous people, you know, they were so connected to the animals, to the nature, to this, to that, and to the divine by whatever name they gave. But when Bob opened that page to the evolution from gas and, you know, rock and so on and so forth, it was like, I get it. I mean, I didn't have it all, but it was such a realization for me how, in its original form, how nature really is a part of us. I'm not sure if I'm explaining it correctly or not, but it's the best I can get out. But I did. I felt like he just grabbed me and went, here you go. And that just locked and loaded our relationship.
Beautiful. You know, one time, Erich said in Mandalay Hall, you know, you Westerners need to go back to your roots. And someone said, you mean our Judeo-Christian roots? And Erich said, no, the American Indian. Because they have a great reverence, not just for people and, you know, and all that, but all of life. And it hasn't come down well enough in Christianity or Islam, so many places, that reverence for all of life, all the way down to the insect, you know, the blade of grass. Anyway, yeah. One time, Jean Shaw, on this occasion when they were at Ojai and they were walking around, Baba said to go out and see me in nature. And she went to that huge tree. She walked over to that huge tree. It was an enormous tree, maybe 40 feet in circumference, or in diameter, and you could go inside of it. But she looked in there and said, "Baba, this is beautiful. I wish you would come here and see this." And immediately Baba, who was maybe up on the hill, started with everybody right to that tree, and they went inside that tree, just as Jean was asking Baba. It was a beautiful tree. I mean, it burnt, but it was another dimension on the inside of this tree. I don't know. Some of you have probably been there. Who has been there? But I mean, but in the original, the old, when it was. So Douglas, you were there when it was still before it got burnt.
Yes, a couple of times. I haven't been there actually since the fires, but it's definitely changed from photographs and from the work they've been doing.
Yeah.
But
it's a sacred place.
Yeah, it's a remarkable place.
An inner dimension inside this tree, all enclosed by leaves. It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Looks like meditation of the heart.
Yeah.
Okay. Jai Baba. Meditation of the heart. In this materialistic modern age, people seldom take time to sit quietly and withdraw their attention from the world and try to love God and experience their completeness with great patience and inner bliss. Jesus said, "In your patience, possess ye your souls." That is the patience of letting go of the false in order to experience the real, which is within all of us. It is only when we stop wanting and begin to sit back and experience contentment that we will begin to experience fulfillment. So we have to start with contentment. If we focus on experiencing contentment, then we are turning off the motor of wanting. How will we ever experience unshakable inner peace and bliss if we do not stop the wanting motor, even for a few moments now and then? To get ready for it, be content with what you have and are. Feel quietude within. Sit quietly for a few minutes and feel the beloved's companionship, and be satisfied with his companionship. Of course, this could easily go into spiritual intoxication, which is subtle, not of the body and emotions. Stilling the mind with the emotions is essential for experiencing Baba's sweet love, which is subtle. For those who love Baba, meditation as an exercise is not necessary. Meditation of the heart becomes one's effortless effort.
You know, I remember Darwin on a number of occasions said, people, I mean, just kind of under his breath, he would say, people just are not content in this world today. You know, it's kind of like they're so distracted. Let's see what I got here. Let's see, I got something coming in. It's always something distracting. But he wasn't saying it critically, but just that it was a little sad that people aren't content. It's interesting, not just with what they have, but who they are. Even who they are. Self-acceptance, yeah. Rather than
it seems less so than ever, right?
Yeah. self-improvement, you've got to improve. You got to get Reeboks. You got to get the latest gadget, the latest phone, the latest this. Otherwise, you're not quite where it's at.
Hello, beautiful people.
Oh,
Here I am. I was driving today up to my apartment, and I could feel like that lack of contentment in me. And I was having a discussion with myself, with the multiple personalities that we have with each other. And I was wanting to know, what's the difference between the longing to grow in awareness and then this ego-driven, I must do something. And what I got was, I live a lot with this feeling in my solar plexus of like drive. And I can quell it, I can do all sorts of things with it, I can force it, I can collapse from it. And I just got a wave of Baba just saying, just be content with being you as you are in this moment. And that wave felt so amazing. It felt like butter. And I don't remember reading this last week when we were like pre-reading. And so I'm just very much appreciating Baba's guidance for me and everything that everyone's sharing today, which is just wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah, you explain it beautifully. I mean, growing in love is different from growing in the getting better and improving in the worldly sense.
And it's tricky with service too, like what my ego can do with what seems like really good service. And then I keep praying to Baba. This has been like 2 years. Like, I want to feel the natural momentum of moving in his love rather than the force or not. And so I think service is natural. And then the ego, being the many-headed hydra that it is, can reform so fast. And it looks right. Yeah, that seems like what you should be doing. But simmer down now, Cindy Lou. Simmer down.
Yeah. No, these are the dilemmas we're faced with. Yeah. Good.
Anthony.
Said it well.
Trying to remember where I had a train of thought I was starting off on, and I started forgetting it a little bit. It was something when we were reading about the nature, loving Baba through nature, and then when we got into the meditation on the heart. And I was just reflecting on when I first started getting into the spiritual path in 2003, and just what a complete refuge it was being able to go in nature, and just remembering how painful the confusion, the anxiety, the depression, the just realizing that everything I'd done and the whole road I was going on in my life was just completely wrong and not in the right direction and not for the right reasons. And I remember I bought a kayak, and every Saturday I started picking a different body of water in North Florida, mostly out at the Gulf of Mexico, but a lot, in the rivers and springs up here. And I would just go out there for 8 hours every Saturday and just be out there. And it changed everything. I mean, even before getting into any deep spiritual teachings or masters or Baba or anything, it just being out in that beauty and that solitude out there, it's like you could just feel how out of tune with that beauty that you were caught in this thing in the world that was just completely out of tune with what we're supposed to be connected into. And so I don't know, it just with reading the passage on loving Baba through nature and finding the solitude and taking that time to connect with Baba in that, it's just amazing thinking back how many years ago, even before any of the, this connection with Baba and spiritual masters started. It's amazing how just the simplicity of being out on the water or in the woods and quiet just made you realize like, wow, I need to find a way to stay connected into this while I'm in my daily life somehow, not losing this feeling of what it feels like to be out here. And yeah, just that began just such a long process of figuring out like, how do I hold on to that feeling when I'm at work and when I'm with other people, and not get caught in this neurosis that everybody's in. How can I keep that peace out in nature, whatever that is, which turns out Baba says it just directly came out of him. So I guess that's why it feels so like home out there. So
Beautiful.
yeah, I recommend that so much to people that are having a hard time, just as a nurse and everything, to just go out and just be outside. It's just so beautiful.
Yeah, we had a guy that came and cataloged all of our trees and animals and everything on the center, and I remember him saying, "Nature is my cathedral." Beautiful. I mean, he really meant it. Nature was his cathedral.
Jeff, I have a question that I never thought I could say it so simply, but it just came into my little head here. Jeff, why did Baba not emphasize for us to meditate? Why did Baba emphasize for us not to meditate?
No, he emphasizes meditating constantly, but not with any particular posture or any particular way. If you fall in love with somebody, you go to the factory, to do work, you're thinking of this one that you love, and it's all happens spontaneously.
Sure.
So Bob was talking about a spontaneous meditation that is inspired by love. So it's not like sitting in I mean, it's all right. Baba doesn't say anything against meditation, but when you love, you don't need any particular method. You just, that person you love, you think in every which way. And we have Baba there. We can think of him as a man. We can think of him as this story about him, that story, the companionship we have with him. There are thousands of ways of thinking of him that it would be hard to bring it under, be hard to call it meditation. It's just absorption in love. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And like, just to talk really freely, like, young kids at the playground, we who have been fortunate to fall in love, that's wonderful. And it then goes through different stages, and like life itself, whether it's this professional position or the next one, or retirement, or so many things that happen within, say, a decade of a human being's life, the emotions will take one up and down the thermometer, the barometer. I have been meditating for many years. I usually start the day off with about a 40-minute meditation after waking up, speaking with Baba, telling him I love him, asking him to do his will and wishes for the day. I find sitting a good 40 minutes or whatever works for whoever. It takes a while to get even to do 10 minutes, but I find that just to sit quietly at the beginning of the day, it's a very unusual activity. Just to sit quietly, even if many thoughts do come, and I do say Baba's name, and I do I feel his love, and I love Baba as best I can.
And you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised that almost everybody here does that in their own way. Someone's sitting on a sofa, someone is going for an early morning walk.
Yes.
Marion is setting her a cooking timer for every 15-minute intervals. Everybody, I mean, people are doing it, and you wouldn't be able to make a system out of it.
Of course. The challenge is, though, during the day, just like during meditation, there are so many distractions that come up. And there's that part of my mind that says, just sit in the morning, be gentle about it, no agenda, just to be with Baba, love Baba, feel his love, say his name, feel, keep on feeling Baba's love, asking him to let me love him more and more, and loving him more and more, and asking just in this whole love direction. But it's, I can only say, just listening to what you've said and every other people, I can't even talk, what everybody else has said, is just to remember Baba as much as I can in different activities throughout the day. It is challenging.
And luckily, you have to go to the bathroom a number of times during the day. So you can have a little break in all of the activity. Yeah.
That's funny.
Thank you for your patience with my quandary here.
Yeah.
I appreciate your loving patience.
You're doing fantastically.
Elizabeth, go ahead.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, several lines caught my attention, and two lines in particular, the ones that said, Jesus said, quote, "In your patience, possess ye your souls," end quote. That is the patience of letting go of the false in order to experience the real, which is within all of us. So I'm thinking, okay, what does that mean? In your patience. What kind of patience? I mean, the patience when you're going to be angry and you have to calm yourself down, and or when things are irritating because you can't get them done fast enough. Or is it the kind of patience that Anthony was talking about, where you're out in a kayak on still waters and you become in tune with nature, which of course emanates from God, from Baba, and but of course the creation is part of the false, which is interesting. So then where does that leave us? Anyway, I thought it was interesting why patience is the thing that will allow you to possess the soul.
Well, I mean, and you can contrast that with impatience. Impatience gets you to gets you entangled with creation, with life. So patience is not going there. It's not going where impatience takes you. So you drop back. You're basically dropping back into your deeper part of you. Patience keeps you, you're not running after things. But of course, then there's patience having to, when you're irritated, to exercise patience. That's not quite, that often doesn't feel close to the soul unless you really are truly patient, and then you'll feel your soul.
And Mahu?
Yes, joined 5 minutes ago. Sorry I'm late. So happy to see everyone, including Mr. Jeff. Hope you had a good downtime, Jeff, and rested. I just want to make a comment about patience. And in fact, something, it's like Baba this week particularly has bringing episodes, or maybe my own sanskaras has manifesting episodes where I begin to encounter this and just think about it and so forth. I think what patience or impatience, in my opinion and my personal experiences, has something to do with our expectations. Okay, so if we live a life without any expectations, okay, be reasonable, okay, don't have any expectations from your mate, from your neighbor, from friends, from a Baba lover, from Jeff Wolverton, from Angela, from this, from that, just because I see many of so-called conflicts or disheartening feelings and this and that, it has a lot to do with expectations, okay? So we meditate, we sit down and meditate, and we just keep on repeating it, and perhaps nothing comes immediately out of it, okay? So if we sat down and meditate with a certain intention, even intention in mind or in heart or expectation that Baba reveals this to me, or I get this, or I get that, or I get clarity about this, especially about Baba, my experience again, he only reveals it to you when he thinks is the best time for you to hear. He only reveals it to us when he, being omnipotent, omnipresent, he knows when I'm a best recipient. He knows that I'm not deaf to hear him, you know. So many times I meditate with intention to ask Baba's opinion about something, and it's not coming, right? But I keep on doing it, persuasive without any expectation, and that's when it's coming.
Beautiful, yeah.
Yeah, so that's, when Baba says, do your best, don't worry about the result, this and that, because he doesn't want us to have expectations. That's it.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful way with Baba.
Alrighty.
And that takes patience.
Okay. Hi, everybody. When everybody was talking, I thought to myself, I wonder what Baba says about patience. So I Googled it, and I came up with this really great quote from Baba I'd never seen before. So I'll share it with you.
Yeah,
It
good.
says, it's from Lord Mayor, page 2649, May 1948 in Ahmednagar. Quote from Baba, "It is your good luck to wait for me," Baba remarked. "Who is so fortunate to wait like that? It is a great penance and austerity to wait for me until I come." So to me, I guess that's the guts of patience.
Yeah.
And I am an extremely impatient person. I do things very fast. And I try to not step on anybody's toes because they're not as fast as I am. And I have to work on it constantly. So this is a good reframing of patience for me with Baba. I'll read it again. It says, "It is your good luck to wait for me," Baba remarked. "Who is so fortunate to wait like that? It is a great penance and austerity to wait for me until I come." May 1948. It's in Lord Mayor.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Mani used to say, you can ask Baba for things, but wait for his timing. And well, Mahu said the same thing. Wait for his timing to respond or give an answer.
When you're helping, because I do a lot of therapy and help people, I've learned to kind of step aside and let Baba come in and flow, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to do what I do, because I don't do it. He does it. But that phrase that the kids say, wait for it, wait. And so sometimes I think Bob's having a great deal of fun with us in our consciousness, and he's he's, you know, using the language that we use, that society uses, and he's playing. He's having a great time. When we wait, he can come in. He can step forth, and we could be aware of his presence if we wait. So I just want to thank you, because this group is so special to me, because in all the busyness that's going on, the structure of it and the way we do it helps me to, you know, be more patient and wait. And Bob's presence just comes through everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Right.
mean, Darwin say that you have a reaction, and it takes patience to wait for the response.
Right.
You know, what is the loving response? I mean, you can react back. That's easy to do, but to be patient enough to see what love wants to do, what love wants to expressed here. That takes patience, and sometimes it doesn't come. You just
Or it
you have
comes
to do
in
nothing.
disguise, incognito. You got to kind of be
Yeah.
a detective. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Heidi.
That's very helpful, because you just reminded me, when tough situations occur, I will try to ask myself very quickly, not verbally, how can I express love here? How can I express love here? How can I express love here? Because, you know, little and such little things happen during the course of a year. And to be able to respond compassionately and empathically as consistently as possible, that's one of my goals.
Yeah.
How
And
can
that
I express love?
It takes a tremendous amount of patience to wait for love to weigh in on something. Yeah.
Terry?
Doesn't matter. Hi, Jay Baba. You know, I've been listening to you, Heidi, and also to Jeff, and I think that for me personally, I also did everything very quickly, and I walked fast. I used to say to Diane, I just want to stroll, and I couldn't. I just would, sooner or later, I'd be walking at a really big pace, and I did everything that way. And when I started to meditate years ago, it taught me how to be more mindful in my everyday things. So having Baba with me in my everyday things would happen. And I think that meditating for me is just stilling myself. You know, it's bringing me completely still. I'm not meditating while driving, or, you know, like being mindful or whatever, or heartful, however you want to explain it. But I would go to a specific spot in the house where it's quiet and close the door and just be still. And then miraculously, Baba just brings me into my head what I need to know at that moment, you know. And there's, you know, sometimes it doesn't come, of course, but it comes enough that it makes me want to go to that zafu and sit down on it, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I think for us, it's because there's so much commotion in the world, whether it's nature or sitting in that room for me, or I also can do it in nature. To me, that's the most splendid way. But just being able to be and not have so many things like capturing your eyes and your brain and your heart, and just being one with it all is really powerful. And again, I want to thank you all for being here, because this is so magical. I don't even know what to say, really. Thank you, Baba, is what
Thank you, Baba. Yeah.
I just love this discussion, because I really had to learn a lot about patience in my life. And speaking of nature, I love metaphors also, in that I belong to, here in New York City, it's called the West Side Community Garden, and I have a 4x6 vegetable plot. And it reminds me of, and so I know about patience because I can be very impatient. I had to learn a lot about patience. And that is that if I plant a pea bean, I'm going to get a pea plant. And I'm pretty sure, I'm not going to get something else. I'm going to get that pea, but I do have to water it. I do have to put it in the ground and plant it. I have to do all that and then be patient about when it sprouts. However, I can water it and talk to it and do things, so I don't have to be totally passive, but I don't have to be the doer. And I don't know if any of you knew that play, The Fantastics. It was here in New York for years. And there's a wonderful song, and it's, plant a carrot, get a carrot, not a Brussels sprout. That's why I love vegetables. You know what they're about. And so I always think of that. And if I don't get something that I'm kind of expecting, I have to go back and look and see what I planted. If something turns out in my life that, it's like, what is this? I can then go back and with Baba's help and friends' help and look at what was the seed I planted. Maybe it wasn't a bean, and I got something else. Thank you. That's it.
Great metaphor.
Yeah, you planted a squash and you got squashed. No.
And Doug, go ahead.
It occurred to me, Jeff, you were asking about Meher Mount. Baba, I think you were asking about Baba's tree, which of course is what burned, as well as many other trees. And it was a remarkable place to be able to visit out in nature, this one tree that Baba had spent time sitting under and being with. And it had a cathedral feeling to it.
Yeah.
The branches came down to the ground. And the other thing about it that's interesting in terms of patience is they've taken seedlings from it and they're regrowing the tree, as well as trying to save the actual tree itself. That's whether or not that will be possible, they don't know, but it is all about patience.
Yeah.
Whether or not this can come back, this place.
I know. It was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
For that magnificent tree.
Yeah. That's it.
And
Speaking of contentment, I wasn't happy that I had to leave, but I had a friend whose dad was in the hospital and I hadn't heard from her, and this was her calling. And I stepped out and I laughed when she answered, and I didn't explain it to her. And it was just like, why am I being taken away from this meeting I really want to go to? And I just thought, Baba, why did that happen? I could have not talked with her, but that was a time when I did what was in this paragraph. I thought I really needed to listen to her, because I didn't know what she was going through and what her dad was going through. And I had to settle into to that and give up what I really wanted to do, which was be here.
This is a slight tangent, I think, but it makes me think of patience. There was a story years ago that a Native American medicine man took his first jet plane trip, and they landed, and he just sat there, and the plane emptied, and he was still sitting. And the flight attendant came over and said, "Sir, are you okay? Everybody's off." He said, "I'm just waiting for my soul to catch up."
Beautiful. I mean, that's what jet lag is. Trying to catch your soul, trying to catch up with your body. Beautiful.
And Ruthie.
Hey, Baba. Thanks, Angela. Just talking about patience reminds me of a phrase that often I use. I heard it a long time ago, and the phrase was to abide in the tension. That we need to learn how to abide in the tension. So when things are in the midst of everything and you want results, you want it to be over, you've had enough. The idea is to be able to abide in the tension until it ends on its own. And when you allow that, then that's where the gold is at the end of the experience of whatever it was. So abiding in the tension is often what I think about doing.
Yeah. Well, that was a whole book written by, what was his name? Scott something or other.
Yeah.
Suspended enjoyment or something. Well, heck, I can't remember.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, probably so. I think the phrase I heard was Marion Woodman using that phrase about abiding in the tension.
Yeah.
Because we're so ready, we're just want it over. We'll do anything to have it done. And so that we have to learn how to just be with it until it evolves in its own.
Exactly.
Yeah. A whole book, huh?
Yeah. It's a book that you all know. I can't remember it. It's not coming to me now.
We know the book because we're living it.
Yeah.
The book of our lives.
And Wendy?
Okay. This popped into my head when Jeff talked about the squash there earlier. Well, in my garden, which I have lots of things, the squash was not coming up. And I assumed that the chippies had taken my squash seeds and eaten them. So I replanted all that I did because I was impatient and afraid because our season's so short, yada yada. I am being squashed by squashes right now.
Yeah.
Because I was not patient. I just had to share that.
Yeah.
So it was like, how does he know that? Anyway, J. Bob. There's a story that if anybody gets a chance to listen to this video, it's by the Dalai Lama, and he's talking about his mother. And it's so beautiful. He said, my mother never asked me for anything, ever. And when they had to leave, she brought with her an orange tree, a baby orange tree. And it was a hard trek for them. And when they finally did settle, one of the people said, oh, I don't know if it's gonna work here or not. And she said, well, we'll see. And this went on for a few years. And apparently now there's the most beautiful orange orchard, compliments of the Dalai Lama's mother bringing those oranges.
Yeah.
I will do my best to find that, but
Yeah.
I just thought, wow, that was patience, because that was years. It wasn't just a few months. Anyway,
Yeah.
Bob.
No, sandalwood trees, they don't really become available. Their fragrance doesn't come for about 45 years. So Indians would plant these sandalwood trees. They themselves would not get the benefit, in their lifetime, usually. That takes real patience. Okay, let's go on to effortless life. Oh, wow.
There you go.
It should be toward the end of this book.
Yeah, we're getting
We
there.
should be moving into the effortless life.
Page 115 for those who came late.
Yes. Okay. Effortless life. We are much happier not chasing after wants. Through surrender of our desires, fancies, wild imagination, and ambition, we experience real fulfillment and contentment, Mayor Baba says. When an individual is thus contented, he does not require any solution to problems, because the problems that confront worldly persons have disappeared. He has no problems. Therefore, he does not have to worry about their solution. For him, the complexities of life do not exist because his life becomes utterly simple in the state of desirelessness. We breathe all day, inhaling and exhaling, but we do not have to tell ourselves, now it's time to inhale, now it's time to exhale. Breathing happens automatically. We do not have to think about it. Eventually, life itself becomes like that. We do not have to consciously decide to do this or that. Life just unfolds automatically. Consciousness then is freed up. It does not have to be caught up at the level of the outer life and confined to that level. Get free of the opposites. Do not go outside to fill desires. Work toward achieving a steady state of equanimity in your relationship with Baba, harmonious and attuned. He sustains us. And as we experience this through an inner state of companionship with him, we then experience some of his consciousness. When consciousness rises to the level of the spirit, it goes out to the far corners of the universe, and we live in and through everyone and everything. We live, move, and have our being in God's being, while also keeping in mind that it is all part of God's imaginary creation. Underlying creation is oneness. All are one in spirit. Selflessness merges into selfness for all.
You know that I a couple of weeks back I described how that last part of this reading came about. He took himself out of this. Do you remember when I mentioned I was there with Darwin when he was about 95 or 96. We were in the refectory and there were a few of us there. And Darwin never really would say what his experience was. You know, you had to kind of infer from the things he said, the authority and the confidence with which he said things, that he must be experiencing what he's talking about. But anyway, but he all the years, he just wouldn't say where he was at. But then Baba gave me this ploy, and I said to Darwin, you know, he's on the other side of the table, I said, Darwin, you have a lot of rare bottles of wine in your cellar. And if you die, it's just going to go to your relatives. I think we should bring it up and enjoy it now. You've been focused on Baba for the last 70 years. You know, year in and year out, day to day, moment to moment. What is your experience now? I don't know. I just felt bold about it. And Bob kind of gave me that little, and he kind of chuckled. And this is what he said. It's carried out in this slightly different. You wouldn't know that this was his experience because he's kind of saying it in the third person. But he said, just as you breathe in and out all day, and you don't say, now it's time to inhale, now it's time to exhale. Eventually, life just unfolds. And the breathing is automatic, and eventually life just unfolds, and you're not trying to get things to go this way or that. And therefore, consciousness is freed up at the level of the world. It goes up to the level of the spirit and out to the far corners of the universe, and you live in and through everyone. I mean, we were speechless. Oh my God, what do you do with that? I mean, this wizened elderly gentleman across the table is talking like that. So, as I said, that's where all this leads to. We will have that sooner, or as Darwin would say, sooner or later. Remember that, Bill? He always used to say sooner or later. Very, very generous about that. But that was what he writes here on that section was his own experience. But he took himself out of that.
Chapter 21, The Treasure in Our Hands.
The treasure in our hands. I bring the greatest treasure it is possible for man to receive, a treasure that includes all other treasures, that will endure forever, that increases when shared with others. Be ready to receive it. Meher Baba. Meher Baba as Messiah or Avatar is the divine catalyst that becomes the gateway to the goal, to God. When people want to know what are the special features of God appearing as the Messiah, as Christ, as Meher Baba, I have to say that it is more than the superb explanation that Baba gave. The real value of contacting him is the beatific vision, if one has the good fortune to receive that. It is a matter of the degree to which one apprehends who he really is. One day, in 1954, I suddenly perceived Baba as being very strongly the Christ. He then shot me the most penetrating look I think I ever received from him. It was as though he was surprised that someone saw so deeply past his masquerade. Meher Baba could, and sometimes did, most lovingly lift some of his veils, giving us glimpses of his measurelessness, luminous love, and allowing us to merge with him in the spirit. He showed us more effectively than any teaching could ever convey that divine love dissolves separation and unites, that divine love is indeed the way to union with our divine beloved. So the greatest teaching Meher Baba ever gave us was actually not a teaching at all. The greatest teaching he gave us was on those special occasions when, through his great love for us, he would let us see into the very essence of his being and actually draw us into the divine sweetness and soul-enlivening beauty that he is.
Ooh.
Wow.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Just
I
beyond words.
have a note to myself because I have a couple copies of Effort and Grace, and this is the one I can be free with and write all over if I want to. So I have a note from the last time we read this, and I don't know who said it, but somebody said that Baba said, quote, "To be natural is to be spiritual."
No, the quote is, "To be natural is most godly."
Ah, it's most godly.
That's what Erich quoted so often.
All right, thank you. So that's what this this chapter spoke to me about, that if we can be natural, maybe we can get in touch and see, like Darwin did, Baba's divine naturalness and feel his love.
Yeah, I think that naturalness is the last stage of the journey. After all of the spiritual work and everything, eventually we come back to just being natural.
Natural.
I think. And
I think so too.
the Mandali were very natural.
Natural.
They weren't spiritual in the whatever, the way you might define. They were just very loving, divinely natural. Yeah.
And Stuart?
Yeah, just the opposite angle. I'm quite sure that Baba said that true spirituality is the most natural thing in the world.
Yeah, that's another way of stating it.
Mahu?
Yes, about being natural, I remember Bao Kalchuri, whom I had a great connection with. He would always tell me, be natural. And this is his saying that I wrote it down and I read it now. I don't have to read it because it's in my heart. But it said, be natural. Do not deceive anyone. Love Baba, and one day he is yours. That was his saying. Be natural. He would always say, be natural. Because he himself was the most natural. All Mandalis, they were very natural. Yeah.
Yeah, that quote that Heidi kind of alluded to was one of the most often quoted quote from Baba, from Erich. To be natural is most godly. Not to be spiritual is most godly, but to be natural is most godly. It's incredible. We can be natural. It's a little harder to be spiritual. Thank God. You know, one thing that Ruthie said that I'm expanding on it. That tension. You talked about the tension. If we can endure the tension in the present moment, we will. This is my opinion. We will feel complete. Even if we feel miserable, we will be rewarded with a feeling of completeness. But if you don't accept the discomfort, then you're looking to the future to get out of it. So now you're not complete. You're not going to be complete until you get to the future. You know, but to accept, completeness, what I gather from the Mandali, to accept the tremendous suffering in the present without wanting to leave, but you get the experience of completeness or wholeness, even if you feel miserable. And that's the way, and you go from wholeness to wholeness to wholeness. And that doesn't mean, if you have a horrible toothache, you don't go to the dentist and get out of the horror. But you can go stay complete and go to the dentist and get relieved of the pain too. But it's leaving the present to go to some future that's better than what you have in the present. To live with that tension is I feel we're doing ourselves a great service, and to build up a greater tolerance for the pain and discomfort and even the boredom of the present is a way to always be complete and whole. Oh, it was better back then. You know, you probably all know Annie Lovett, and she has this saying about the state of most people. I'd rather be somewhere else with someone else doing something else. A lot of people are in that state. I'd rather be somewhere else with someone else doing something else. And so you're incomplete. Anyway.
Yeah, really. Got it?
Jai Baba, everyone. Such a beautiful discussion. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Rada.
I was wondering if you could elaborate a little bit more on being natural. And you just stated that I would rather be somewhere with someone at some other place. There are everyday situations sometimes when your natural inclination is to not be somewhere, but there is a conflict sometimes when you are kind of trying to abide by Baba's orders and wishes, to be obedient to him, never to hurt someone's feelings, never to, mean backbite someone. And in the spirit of sticking to those orders, you end up doing something different than what you would naturally be inclined to. How do you resolve that conflict?
Oh. Yeah, now there's kind of like desire or want. It's kind of heart naturalness. What love natural rather than desire natural or want natural. What we would say, oh yeah, I'd like to clobber that person on the head. That's what I would naturally like to do. That's not what we would naturally like to do. What we would naturally like to do is to forgive them. So Yeah, I mean it's a lot of work to move into what naturalness is, but it's
Right.
naturalness is doing the loving thing, really. But
Yeah.
it all these things I say that we move into them very gradually, but they're
Yeah.
very liberating as we move into them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd imagine that it takes a lot of practice to get there.
Yeah, and then it becomes natural, second nature.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think we should save these last, we have like 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. I think we can,
5 actually. There's always that last page there that doesn't look like it's.
oh, yeah, there's a hidden page there, yeah. Anybody, we're coming close to the end here. Anybody, any stray debris that needs to be swept up? I mean, all of this work that we're all doing, it's just, I mean, I know you're all feeling freer as a result of contemplating and all these things.
Yeah, I would say that especially this past year has not made me freer. It's made me think more deeply, and I know I have been patient to be in silence more, and have really tried to live that phrase more and more. Things that are real are given and received in silence, and done my best to allow things to come to me that I need to know, or to accept, or whatever. But it's more of a listening, an inner listening, and I suppose being patient for an answer, and it can be very confusing at times, and you know, even and of course it does address the issue, who am I? And your who am I changes, you know, when I do that, it allows things to come up that may not have come up before, and to look at ways of interacting with people that are different than ways that have been done before. And I know I've had some really unusual experiences that I've never experienced in my entire life, of how I have reacted to people, to me more positively. I don't know what the other people think, but so I don't know that I feel freer. I maybe I am, but I'm not aware of it. But I think this has been a year of developing awareness, as well as developing those inner links with others, and also realizing how many linkages I had and didn't realize it with some of the Monthly. It's just, I'm blown over by that, and I didn't even know it. And so there have been many revelations for me personally. I'm sure for each one of us, there are different ones for each one. I don't feel free yet, Jeff.
Well, but your life has expanded. I think the more your life expands, the freer you are, the more in touch you are with yourself. Even if you're still having cloudy days, it's cloudy days over a larger landscape than what you started out with.
True. It's worldwide now.
Yeah. Let's see what Paula has to say. Yeah.
Yeah, this is about naturalness. I was thinking about it, and one thing Agnes said to me was to have confidence in oneself is Baba, and not to have confidence in oneself is the ego. And something, I was thinking about naturalness and I think it does take some confidence in oneself to be natural.
Yeah.
And it feels to me like, as a Baba family, which has been, it's just been remarkable. I think it's exactly what Baba's wanted, because it's drawn us together in a really safe and loving way, so that we can, I know for myself, I have been able to develop a lot more confidence in being in a situation like this with, with other people. And I think I think that it does take some measure of confidence in oneself to be natural, because it's trusting who you are. That's kind of what I think.
Yeah, beautifully described. Yeah. Yeah, no, this is a beautiful environment to be yourself, and everyone I find here is so empathetic, so compassionate toward what people are going through, the difficulties, and people have shared very vulnerable things, and it's all received in the beautiful spirit. I'm amazed that, usually there are, you have a group of people and there are disputes and people are arguing back and forth. We haven't had any of that, even though we didn't lay down any rules here. We just showed up. There weren't, well, you have to say this, you can't crosstalk, you can't do this. All of the rules that groups often have. There was nothing stated here, but a buddy of mine said he was getting upset with all the rules and regulations that were emerging and proliferating around Maribod over the years, and he said to Erich, why are all these regulations coming up? And Erich said, when people lose sight of the inner law, then we have to come up with these outer regulations. But we have here been following the inner law, and we don't need any regulations so far. Knock on wood, Baba.
The description of how you mentioned the group was functioning, I always feel that Baba is giving all of us a little taste of the new humanity, that we're functioning that way. With his help, it's a blessing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of, groups that aren't functioning like this. And it's fascinating, and I feel real grateful to be part of it. But I think he's given us a little glimpse of.
Yeah. This is how people can be with each other naturally.
Naturally, yeah.
This is naturally how people, when they have love, you just are naturally like this. We're not buying into ideologies and belief systems and hierarchies and all of that kind of stuff. So
But somebody in this group, if somebody in this group said to me, hey, Heidi, get yourself together, you're not quite yourself, or they said it would be perfect. It would be the most loving thing that anybody could do for me. You know what I mean? I would trust it.
Yeah.
And that's what's so beautiful about this. That's part of the naturalness, I think, to me. That people could be compassionately transparent when necessary and helpful.
Yeah.
So,
no, there's a longing to help. Yeah. Hey, well, let's have a few moments of silence here. Baba. On the late chat, we're going to try to talk about loving one another. I don't know how it's going to go, but all the things that work and the things that make, and the challenges. Yeah. So any let's see. I guess
Stuart
sometimes.
is here.
What's that?
Stuart is here.
Oh, hey, yeah, Stuart. Hey, if any, we'll share a little bit, and then anybody that wants to stay on for the heart-centered meditation guided by Stuart, you're more than welcome, and it's very valuable. You know, especially it's not just meditating for yourself, but it's also sending that Baba's love to someone or some group of people or whatever. And but it's very moving experience. I find.
How long will that be?
It about it's the meditation itself is probably 15 minutes.
Vermicell is
What's that?
no, sorry.
Oh, anyway, just to let you know. Any other things that came up? Anyone? Bill, you got any story? Bill, Cliff, any story from Darwin and Jean that just spontaneously comes to mind?
Actually, Jeff, I'm just happy to listen today. Nothing really popped in my mind. I'm
Yeah.
just happy to be here and to be listening and
Yeah.
feeling
Well,
kind of natural.
anytime you have any remembrances of those times with Darwin and Jean, feel free to share them because they were so so loving and so there for us. Yeah. Anything else that Katie, I saw Jolie earlier. I don't know if Katie's there or Jake. Yeah.
Hi,
Oh.
we're here.
Oh, good. Wonderful. Is Jolie there? Oh, there's William.
Yeah, that's William.
Hey,
Jolie,
good.
Jeff asked if you were here. You want to say hi?
Hey,
We're playing outside a bit. It's
let
really
me
nice
see.
here.
Let me see that tooth that's missing. Is that tooth
Where's your
still
tooth?
missing? Anything growing in?
Is there anything growing in yet? Yeah.
Oh,
She
good.
just ate dinner, so there might be some veggies growing.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Nice
Beautiful.
to see you all.
Always nice to see you, Katie, and love to Jake and Paula and Rick.
Thank you, Jay Baba.
Yeah, Jay Baba. I wonder if the Ralph that's there is Ralph Jackson. Ralph Jackson lived in Myrtle Beach for a long time, and many of those beautiful early photographs of the mandali were taken by Ralph. The ones of Mara and Padre and Erich and all of that. But I don't think he has any screen that we can see him. But soon, Stu will be back in just a few moments. Any other comments from anybody?
I want to know about what you're going to do tonight about love.
Well, we're gonna see what I mean. I'll kind of introduce it to kind of get the ball rolling, but how, loving one another, and there's finding Baba in ourselves. That's one aspect, but then there's finding Baba in each other. They're both need to be developed for the completeness. And so we'll explore that, and actually people's experiences and things that work and things that are difficult.
Are you talking about tolerance of others? Is that part of what you're talking about tonight?
Yeah, it can be tolerance, anything that likes and dislikes, things that get in the way, and things that work. Hey, but we've got Stu back. Oh, it is Ralph Jackson. Good. Good. Great. He's down in Texas, but we just can't see him. And I don't think he has the audio portion either. Okay, Stu, you've got the floor.
Okay, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Okay, so let's just close our eyes and settle into wherever you're sitting or laying. And during this time, we'll leave the world a little bit, a little more, and start breathing in to your belly gently and fully, and we'll continue this breathing. And now bring your attention to your heart and your heart center. It's that infinite home in all of us of Meher Baba's love, his infinite love. And this home is always there. We're always welcome there. So just kind of settle into your heart space and the love within. And take note if you see or feel anything as you put your attention there inside. And now as you keep breathing in, picture someone who you would like to focus on sharing Meher Baba's infinite love with. This could be a person, even a group. And let your heart guide you. Just see who appears. And this process can be tremendously powerful in the event of conflict, past and present. It can be wonderful to share this focus on love for someone who's been going through struggle or difficulty for whatever reason. And it can be a wonderful thing to share just on general principles. So maybe there's someone you already have a lot of love for and you feel like, boy, I'd like to focus even more sharing Baba's infinite love with them. So again, just let your heart guide you and see who appears for you. And as you keep breathing in, get a good image of them. See them before you in your mind and heart. And take note if you feel or you see anything in particular as you picture them and you start to focus on them. And now picture their heart and heart center. And start to see Baba's infinite love generously flowing into their heart and heart center. And soothing and filling every bit of the heart area, every bit. And I see this kind of liquid golden light of love. It's warm, it's soothing, it's safe, it's uplifting and healing and forgiving. There are endless qualities to this love, and we never know what magic might come from this focus on the flow of it. And see the love continuing to flow just warmly, generously, without end, and start to see it now overflow from the heart and heart area and flow right through. And now filling every bit of their being, their whole being. Body, heart, and soul. And keep breathing in as you continue to see this unstoppable flow of Baba's infinite love. let's stay here another moment in this flow of Baba's infinite love. And again, we never know what magic might come from this love, and maybe especially the melting of hearts. So now let's give thanks for being able to focus on this flow of the infinite love. And as you bid farewell to whoever you've chosen, know that you can come back here again and again. There's no end to the love, and the shop is always open. And now gently bring your awareness back to your own heart and heart center. And breathe in as you let yourself just settle in there. And take note of whatever you might notice or feel. And now start to picture Baba's infinite love. This warm, rich, delicious love filling your own heart and heart center. And filling every bit. And this love is healing and soothing, uplifting and lightening, forgiving. And it's patient. And it's always giving. So see this love filling your heart and heart center, and now to overflowing. and flowing through your heart. And now filling every bit of your whole being. There's not one little corner not being touched. And let yourself just drink in the flow of this love. This love is given freely from divine source, and it has no judgment. And now let's give thanks for being able to focus on this flow of Baba's infinite love into our own hearts and into our entire being. And know that we can return here again and again. And put our attention on this endless divine love. And drink in. And now gently start to bring your awareness back to wherever you're sitting or laying. And give yourself a few moments to gradually come back. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
Hi, Stuart and everyone. I'd like to share before I lose cell reception. I see that I'm driving and I see that Jeff has left the room. However, I just want to say that the synchronicities in the feelings that I was feeling, what you were speaking, Stuart, when you were speaking them, was just, it was just absolutely like empirically undeniable that Baba was through me, with me in this moment and in my whole life. And normally I will send love to people that are, I think, struggling. And the first person was not someone that I think is struggling. And it was a beautiful experience to just pour love into him. And as well as the cast that are normally, I was sending it then too. And so I just wanted to say how grateful I am for every bit of this experience. Thank you.
So glad you shared. Thanks.
Thank you.
And glad you experienced what you did, Cindy.
Thank you. Oh, and one other really cool thing is that in my screenshot, this picture that I took off one of the Mayor Baba sites of Samadhi with the sun, I was watching almost the mirror image of that in the sky as I'm driving up in the mountains in Pennsylvania. And it was amazing to see that, and then to see what I see on my screen is whoever's speaking plus my little picture of the Samadhi with this streaming light. So that was just incredible as well. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Great. Anybody else care to share anything? Oh, you muted, Marion.
I mean, I am doing my best to lay gratitude as the foundation of each of my days. And I feel that flowing through me. And I thank all of you and Stuart for leading us and everyone. So I thank you. And I think I need to be silent a little bit now. So, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Thanks, Marion.
Stu, at the end of the meditation, when I was back in myself, I have this photograph of Baba right there in front of me, and I looked down, and it was like he was like alive, and I was just sitting there with him at the end of the meditation. It was beautiful. You know, it was just there. I mean, just there. I mean, looking. You know, well, it's. I don't know how good it comes on the screen there, but it became very. You know, there he is. He's looking. I'm looking at him. He's looking at me.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Wasn't just a photograph.
No. You know, I've been working for a while on Esfandiar. I'd call it kind of a heart meditation, but he said use Baba's image. Use an image that, you know, speaks to you of Baba. And I use different images a little, but I've been getting one of Baba's face right in front of me in great detail. And again, he's alive, like extremely alive. And see stubble on his chin, and can touch his skin. It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's as real as we can are willing to go with it.
Yeah,
somewhat.
yeah.
Well, the heart makes it more and more real. Looking through the heart.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful thing.
Well, and even had that section today from Darwin on meditation of the heart.
Yeah. Yeah, Darwin said there's an eye of the heart, which is different from the third eye and different from our eyes.
Yeah.
The eye of the heart.
Yeah.
And it's what sees God face to face. and it's there, but it rarely opens.
Mm. It's a beautiful thing.
It sounds like it's been raining. Can you hear that?
Yeah, it's raining here.
Oh, that's what must be. Oh, hey, there's Josh. Josh Wolverton. That's Dennis Wolverton's nephew.
Oh, okay.
So, Stu, I had a very distracted kind of meditation. I had a particular group in mind and a couple of other people, and your meditation, certain words kind of were keys. When you said, I think you said, love is patient. I think you said that, and that kind of really hit home after the discussion today, and some other things. It was really beautiful. But I kept getting distracted. I was thinking about so many things, and I know I'm not supposed to be thinking when I'm meditating, but at the same time, tears just started streaming down my face. And I felt this immense sadness. And I think I know where it comes from. But I'm sure it was a release as well. I mean, I could feel it in my cheekbones, but it's the kind of tears that often come when you're in a Baba meeting or something happens at the center and all of a sudden the tears just come. It was that kind of, because they came on spontaneously. I didn't know where they were coming from. And I think I know, but I didn't feel like I meditated very well, but I felt like I was going through a release of some kind. And anyways, I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, thanks, Elizabeth. I think the love was moving through you, even if your mind was a bit busy.
Unfortunately, it always is.
Well, you're not the only one.
Yeah, I'm very glad that Baba told Don Stevens that it was good that he had such a good mind, and I think he told him that he was told somebody else and told him that he was about the perfect balance of head and heart.
Right.
And that's very encouraging for those of us who have very active minds that don't seem to stop. You know, that there's hope.
Yeah. Well, Don was certainly an incredibly intelligent man while also having a deep heart, big warm heart.
We got Joshua there from Australia.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
And his writing, because I was just reading a little bit of Listen to Humanity last night, his writing is really poetic. My God, you know, it's like each chapter's filled with fragrant heart throbbing. It's great.
Yeah, and he was only 28, I think, at the time. I might be wrong, but he was quite young, and he wrote eloquently about Baba in that 1955 Sahavas there at Mehrabad. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that 1955 Sahabas, I watched that talk recently about Baba. It was so good. It's really good to watch again. One that I imagine is also good to show people that sort of are new to Baba or don't understand Baba. It's, you know, Baba being like yeah, it's just really powerful. I just really suggest watching that again, or just reading that transcript of some of the messages he gave out. They were really, really good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Stu,
And so is this the tail end of Effort and Grace that I'm coming in on?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, this is the meditate. We have a meditation for anybody that wants to at the end, beginning 7 o'clock, around 7 o'clock our time, and it goes for about a half hour. Well, the meditation itself might be 15 or 20 minutes, and then we kind of just sit back afterwards. And but you know, Stu, during this whole meditation, it sounded like it was raining, and or someone wasn't on mute, whatever. But it reminds me there were a couple of guys back in about 1972 or 3. They were at the Trust. It was Frank Parker and John Florence. They were very talkative guys, and they're outside Audie's office, and they're talking away, and they're very verbal and all that. And they're waiting for Audie to go in to see Audie. And finally someone comes out of Audie's office, and then they go in to see him, and he's there on his chair, this easy chair with his eyes closed, you know, just absorbed in Baba. And then he opened his eyes, and they apologized. Oh, Audie, God, if we'd known you were in here meditating, we wouldn't have been talking. And they are going on and apologizing. And Audie, with that finger that he has, you know, he had this kind of finger that was deformed. And he said, "Sir, I do not subscribe to that form of meditation that does not include noise." I do not subscribe to that form of meditation that does not include noise.
That probably won them over.
Yeah, that's just beautiful. I mean, you have to kind of open to infinity, and anything that's in there,
yeah,
you're one with it, and you're not fighting it.
Well, and Frank Parker said about himself, he said, "Baba's even got room for a barfly like me."
Yeah. Hey, I have to head to the center, and I got to go to work tomorrow. But I'm going to slip out here, and but that's Ralph Jackson over there in the corner.
Oh my goodness!
From Texas, yeah.
Oh.
Long-term buddy of ours.
Where in Texas?
He used to be Waco. I don't know where he is now.
Oh, I used to live in Texas.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll probably see you at 10 o'clock tonight when you come back, Jeff.
Okay, yeah. I'm
interested to hear what we're gonna talk about.
Yeah, what we talk about. We'll see what we come up with. Yeah. Hey, Joshua. Yeah, tonight we're going to talk about loving each other, and the difficulty, the challenges, as well as things that work, and what Baba has said.
So have you been talking about those in your 3 o'clock meetings as well?
The 3 o'clock meetings, a whole wide range of things that comes up. Very interesting. It all morphs into one thing after another. It's quite good. Yeah.
Good night, Jeff. Good night, Stuart. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, everybody. Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Okay, thank you again, everyone. Bye.
Yeah. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Bye.
All right. Be well, everybody.
You too.
Thanks,
you too,
Jeff.
Stuart. Yeah. Blessings, Stuart.